the cloud. Here we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. So the first thing I want to talk about is that in a little over a week, we are heading to K3LR out in Western Pennsylvania, and we're going to be installing a personal space weather station out there. And we're installing the HF Whisper Demon and the ground magnetometer portions of the personal space weather station. The VLF will follow on in a bit. Here is the basic plan for what we are doing. So at K3LR, you can see his main antennas over here. Can everyone see this? Okay, so he's got his main antennas over here, and then across the way is a house that he owns, 57 Elliott Road. And over here, there is a little garage, which he calls the Mouse House. Now, his intention is to upgrade this Mouse House. So he's going to insulate it and put in a mini split so it's got climate control. And this is eventually going to be the HamSCI Personal Space Weather Station instrumentation shed. So we're actually going to get a whole little building on the K3LR property dedicated to HamSCI projects, which is super exciting. This is not fully insulated or ready yet. So what we're going to do for this upcoming trip is we're going to temporarily site the equipment in number 57. And they're going to run coax above ground from here to the site behind the Mouse House where the systems are going to go, the antennas are going to go. So we're going to put a DXE RSEAV active vertical over here closer to the Mouse House, and then the magnetometer and VLF will be going slightly farther away over there. As I said, for this trip, we're just going to put the magnetometer in and the active vertical. So Scranton is, so Tim is already running the RG6 for the active vertical and the Cat 6E for the ground magnetometer, and we are shipping him all that stuff. For this trip, we're just going to stick a GPS puck style antenna outside the window of the room in 57 Elliott Road, and then we're going to bring everything else. All of the RX 888s, and which I currently have running at my house, and the ground magnetometer kit, which Majid started putting together, and Nina, and I'm working on getting all of this prepped and running at my house make sure it all works before we bring it over to K3LRs. So the agenda is going to be Monday, August 4th is the travel day. We want to arrive at K3LR by 3 p.m. We're going to get a tour of K3LR, and then there's actually going to be a banquet that we're going to have that evening to kind of kick things off. Tuesday is going to be Personal Space Weather Station Installation Day. And hopefully this all goes very quickly because I'm going to try to get all the IT stuff worked out. Make sure I have a completely running system that reports to University of Alabama and everywhere else it's supposed to report to before I get to K3LR. And Rob has also said that he will be on call for that day. So hopefully we just get it installed in the morning. All the coax will already be there. And by mid-morning, hopefully we'll have a live system that we can just start doing evaluation of how well is the spectrum working, trying to show Tim the different aspects of it, how it might be useful in the contesting situation, etc. Wednesday morning, we're going to finish final configuration and troubleshooting. And then at noon, there's going to be a picnic barbecue, which actually everyone is invited to. And I can have Gary say a few more words about that in a second. And Thursday is just travel home. So for Christina, my big question for you is, would you like to stay the whole time? I think it'd be really nice to have you join us for the whole 4 days and do those arrangements, the housing arrangements that I emailed you about. Are those good for you?
It's extremely kind. Thank you very much. I'm still trying to convince KB3 VSC. But I think what we might do is come in Tuesday morning, stay the night, and then leave like in the afternoon, evening on Wednesday.
Okay.
So stay one night. I'll see if I can talk him into the fourth, but I think we've got like so many trips lined up. And if we just stay one night, we won't need to arrange a cat sitter.
Ah, yes, that makes sense. So if you just stay one night, okay, great. Um, I still may touch base with you then off this telecon just to double check on the housing, but staying one night would be just fine. So
Great.
that's the whole plan. Um, Great. And then Rachel, are you planning on coming at all? And would you also like to stay?
I don't know if I was planning on it, just because I'm actually moving on the 31st, and so that'll be very close, and I won't have a car.
Okay. I think David Kasdan might be planning on coming for a day or so too. And I think Gary is doing day trips. So if you are interested in commuting with any of them, let me know.
Okay.
Okay. So I might contact you again after the telecon to kind of finalize those plans. Gary, would you like to say some things about the barbecue and how people can RSVP?
Yeah, actually, if you want to pull up, you were sharing your screen on the HamSCI website, K3LR-picnics. I'm just starting to put that together, and but it's got the details there, so you can take a look and we can kill two birds with one stone here.
Wonderful.
So I think the invitation is going out to the HamSCI community, and even actually, some members of the general ham radio community as well, to this picnic and barbecue at noon on the 6th at Tim's QTH. The article then goes on to explain a little bit why we're there, setting up the PSWS and whatnot, and of course, an opportunity to tour Tim's station. If you may or may not know Tim, I want to make sure that people understand that this is a world-class, top-tier contesting station, and Tim is giving us both space, power, and internet, and all that kind of good stuff to hook up a PSWS. This is pretty sweet. The other thing, Tim's been and the company which he is CEO of, DX Engineering, has been a long-time HamSCI supporter, providing equipment, advice, technical advice, door prizes and stuff at our different events and whatnot. So, and at the bottom, I'm going to have a little link to a Google form where people can RSVP, because obviously we need some sort of a head count to order the food and whatnot. And so that's what we've got so far.
That's great. You can add Case Western to this expected teams. I actually don't think NJIT may be really sending anyone, but you can leave them on here. But you can put Case Western, Scranton, and NJIT there, so they're all represented. And
Okay.
Bill, of course, Alabama is invited as well, but I know it might be a little bit far of a trip for you. But you're certainly welcome to come.
It would be a hike. I'd have to
So
fly.
Yes.
I've still got to add a DX Engineering logo on there as soon as I get a good clear one that I can drop on the page. So, and
But,
I'll put it.
Yeah, I think this looks good, Gary. So
Nathaniel,
I'll work it.
Nathaniel, this is Dave in Colorado. I'm planning to make the long haul
wonderful.
to Pennsylvania and visit my hometown and parents' graves and things like that.
Okay.
I'm going to arrive on the 4th, and I'm planning to stay at a local hotel. I don't need accommodations.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so I think that is the whole story with K3LR. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to continue working on making sure all that's put together. So the other thing I really wanted to touch base with about Christina, and since Bill is here, we have in this Daisy 2 grant, one of the things we're going to be doing is upgrading and improving the the database system at Alabama. And I think we have listed a number of things, improvements you could make in the grant proposal, but we never really fully defined it or had a really systematic review or definition of what we really want to do. And I think before we actually start doing any work or sending any students off coding anything, I think we should really have some sort of a design phase where we go through, identify needs and new features and things that we want, and figure out, what is feasible and what's not and things like that. And I think Bill knows better than anyone what resources Alabama has and can bring to the table and what's feasible. And I think Christina, as chief operations scientist, should, I think it'd be really good for you to play a big role in helping to define this. So I was wondering if Bill and Christina, if you could get together and work up some sort of a process for us to run this design phase and identify what upgrades we want to do and can do, and how we're going to do that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Bill, I'll send you a message in the chat here and we can coordinate a time to meet outside of this meeting and then report back.
Okay, QSL.
Yep, we've talked about this a little bit previously, and I think one of the things I plan to put together in the next month is this sort of design charrette process where I've got some things that I definitely like to talk to you about implementing, and then I'd like to also collect some feedback from the community. So we'll keep everybody posted on that.
I'm guessing this will include, some documentation, what the site currently does too, because Bill's added a lot of pretty cool features there over the years, and I'm not sure anybody knows what they all are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that'll be important. The other thing that's important to note is AGU abstracts are due very soon, like August 30th or July 31st, I think. So the end of this month. I believe Gwen Griffiths is planning on coming in person to AGU down in New Orleans. And so I think we've also invited Paul Elliott to be a invited speaker at the MacGyver session, and he's working on deciding now if he can make it. I know Rob Robinette is thinking about coming as well, so I sent him an email about it. So I guess, so I'm hoping that we might be able to have a nice kind of core group of HamSCI people that are working on the personal space weather station that can go to the MacGyver session. So I was wondering, Bill, if you would be willing to go to AGU and put in an abstract this year to the MacGyver session. And I don't know, Christina, if you are able to as well. And anyone else who thinks they might have something to contribute. Rachel?
Yeah, I'd be down. I'm planning to go to AGU, and I don't think my dance card is full for abstracts yet. So I definitely
Okay.
want to do a HamSCI one, and doing one at the MacGyver session would make a lot of sense. There's also been, as you know, a fresh interest from the various MacGyver sessions, because we pretty much lifted the whole concept from the original MacGyver session in hydrology, and it turns out that there's like a seismology MacGyver session, and like there's like a dozen different MacGyver sessions now, and we're all becoming friends, and we're gonna pass around challenge coins and stuff like that this year. So that'll be very exciting.
That sounds great. So please get your abstracts in. I'm also not personally planning on submitting an abstract this year because I've got a lot going on, but I am planning on being there and being a co-convener. So I am very willing to help give input to people's abstracts and help facilitate all of this.
Yeah, abstracts are due pretty soon too. I seem to recall seeing a notice about that within the last couple of days. They're due imminently, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, for you, a good one might be to just do a review of what the current features of the personal space weather station database are, and then to either, talk about the design process. So I don't know if we're planning on having that design charrette before AGU, but if we are, you could actually present, what the results of the design charrette are.
Okay, first I'll have to look up that French word and find out what it means, and then we, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good idea. I mean, one of the challenges we have is really getting into the heads of all the scientists who might use this. And
Right.
because you don't necessarily get responses from everybody because everybody is so brutally busy.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, if we can all get into the same room at the MacGyver session, and if we have you there and Christina and Rob and Gwen, and we go to the MacGyver session, have some good posters. Christina just put the Wikipedia for charrette in the chat, but we can all get there and then have a good session, and then go out to dinner together for a night or two, lunch and a dinner and a poster session. I think we could really get some good communication across.
yeah. Yeah, Christina just sent me a link to a Wikipedia article about charrette, and well, it's very cool to use such a sophisticated word for this, but just a design meeting. And so anyway.
Yeah. I have seen precedents for using this term before. I remember when I was a grad student, I attended a 3-day design charrette that was hosted by NSF for the Earth Cube project. So this isn't the first time I've heard it for used in this context.
This is something we used to do for when developing final reports to turn into the Department of Defense. You want to use as many complicated terms to make the project seem as sophisticated as possible and as complex, so that if the Army's engineers had difficulty reading it, they would conclude that's a good project. We should fund follow-on work for them.
Darn, he's on to me.
Yeah.
It's all about getting funding. Everybody knows that. So
Well, I think this is the main things I wanted to cover today. So, and Christine, if you still do, as I said, if you still do have a few minutes, I can just call you to touch base about some of these other travel logistics to really get them nailed down. I'd like to do that today.
Yes, I think I'm good, but only until about 10:30 because we're on our way to the next destination here. So
okay. How about let me jump off of this for a minute, and then Christina, I'll call you, and Rachel can keep running the meeting, and then I'll hop back on the meeting after I finish talking with Christina on the phone. Sound good?
okay.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I will be back.
Okay. Any other announcements?
We, the Northeast, the Ham Expo is coming up in about a month. I understand we're gonna have a table. I know Nathaniel's the keynote speaker there. The guys in New England, do you guys have any plans for a table or any of that sort of stuff that weekend? Maybe not. Okay.
Where did Bob go?
Okay.
That's more better, I think. Yeah, I'm heading up the HamSCI table, Gary, and are you coming?
No, I was basically asking on behalf of Ed, WX2R, because he and I were on the phone yesterday. I said I'd do a little reconnaissance for him so he knew what to expect.
Okay. I was just curious. But yeah, it's only 15, 20 minutes from the house. That's one advantage I have. So we'll be there.
Okay, so we'll do the usual thing, a couple of banners or a poster maybe to put up, business
we're gonna-
cards and,
Yeah. Gonna need that.
okay. Yeah, most of that stuff is residing in Scranton right now, so we'll get
Okay,
Nathaniel to throw that in the car, I guess.
okay, that would be fine.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Okay.
Back to Ned.
Any other announcements? All right. Let's start off with Bill. Any updates? Billy.
Not a whole lot besides what you've already heard. There's a couple of people on this session that aren't on the other session. So, first of all, I've got all of the hard drives except for one backed up to our box system. So anyway, I turned over 28 hard drives to our high performance computing center people, and they're going to work on getting those inhaled into the new server, the storage package that's on the back end of that. I believe it's probably network attached storage, but anyway, so that's in progress. I did get if I mentioned this last week, I did get Apache and Django installed and interoperating on the new server. So that's good progress there. Next thing I'm going to do is do everything I need to do to make it run secure under HTTPS. Something you always have to add. That's the progress on that. So yeah. Django is spelled D-J-N-G-O. Yeah, it's
I was just thinking about that. I was like,
DJ, yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's my report.
wait.
Bill, so is the new server is not up at all yet? Is that correct?
Well, it's not available to the public. It's up and down, more up than down. I mean, it's up enough that I can work on it and get things set up. But the tricky part is I've got to transfer all the accounts. See, this is a new operating system, so I've got about 200 accounts that have to be recreated on the new box and all that data moved over. And this all has to be done we want to try and avoid having downtime during upload time. And also, all of the people who are uploading are going to have to change their config file to upload to a different URL. And so I'm not sure how we're going to get through that without having some data loss or whatever, but I've got to get with our HPCC people and figure out how we can do this with minimal amount of downtime. There's a lot of things we can transfer and basically recreate on the new system. Then, well, we just have to think it through. There's a lot to it and haven't figured it all out yet. So.
All right. I was curious about a couple things just with regard to the legacy project. I count 22 stations still uploading to the WWV ARC server on the legacy project. And their latter stations, you know, the numbers are bigger ones. One station is reporting 3 frequencies. So I know you were able to get all the data that you needed from those already, correct? Or you did a download recently, right?
From WWV Club Server is current. We're current with that up till July 10th.
All right. And did you take all those old files off of that? That's how we were doing it, right?
The majority of them, yeah. I think
Okay.
there's probably a few that when I first started, you couldn't even get a directory list because there was more than 10,000. The last time I checked, it was on the order of 5,000 sitting out there.
We discovered all these limitations, unfortunately, after we lost our help. So that was
right.
Yeah. The other thing though is the server is also collecting all of the grape2, the zip and logs.zip files, which is about 3-4 megabytes per day coming from the Grape 2s. Now we're recording to the Grape 2 hard drives, and that's what we're really going to preserve is the hard drive data. Do we need to be logging the logs.zip and .zip on a daily basis for the Grape 2s? This is a question that maybe goes out to is Bill Blackwell here? Yeah, Bill. I'm just curious. Do we want to keep collecting that data, or is it just a sort of we're doing it and we don't need to?
I think you can drop it because we're not using it anymore. John Gibbons isn't on, but we were using it to debug various problems with the Grape 2 system, and I think that's mostly over.
Okay, well, I can't really stop it because people are uploading, they're pushing it over to the
Yeah,
to the FTP site, and the FTP site's open for all of that, and everybody's got the password. So,
well, what I can do is I can make a change that gets downloaded by all the Grape 2 servers overnight, and that will stop the logging.
do you want to give it a try? You certainly can continue if you need it, but we're trying to phase out the server. So that's
Yeah.
one that's always there, and it would be good to get all those data files off there as well.
Yeah, let me and John look at it, and we'll decide either how
Yeah.
to reduce the logging or to eliminate it completely.
Yeah, if you
So
could look
that-
at it in the next couple of weeks, that would be great.
Okay,
But it would be good to address this before the end of, let's say, before the end of August.
all right, will do, Dave.
Thank you. And for the Grape 2s, there's 17, 22, or Grape 1s, there's 22 stations that are still uploading. So that's it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna do to motivate those remaining people because I've emailed them all. And the folks that responded, I sent them all the upgrade information. And most of the people, almost everybody who responded has changed their system over to upload to personal specified station. Now, one question that did enter my mind is when we have done this update so that the Grape 1s upload to personal specified station network, at the same time, did that shut off their upload to WWV, or is that still going on?
It did shut it off.
Okay.
Yeah, the files are not coming over. So we just changed the direction and the process. You use the different FTP. What was it? SFTP or something. Yeah.
That's FTP.
Yeah. So you used FTP instead of just straight FTP. Yeah, that I thought that went really smoothly. And so you're also saying that when we go to the new server, everybody will have to go back and reconfigure just the target URL, which should
Yes,
be like one line edit. It should be really easy, correct?
right. It's in the config file.
Yeah. So I think that we do enough changes to that config file. I think that it would be pretty easy to send out instructions to get people to change that one line.
Yeah, it's as with many things, it's all about the timing.
Yeah.
You got a population of people who a lot of folks travel a lot, and it's
Sure.
hard to get on their agenda.
Well, it'll just take if you can have both servers up at your site for a little while, that'll make it easier.
I'm certainly going to try to accomplish that, but I can't even guarantee that some of
Right.
this is really not up to me.
Exactly.
So,
All right, we'll see what happens.
so
Thank
we
you.
got two different IT departments involved. We got the university's regular IT department plus the high performance computing center people.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Understood.
Bill-
Understood.
Bill, I like to just raise one question that Dave kind of alluded to. The Grape 2 server systems are still uploading the 1 second data from 3 frequencies every day to the WWV server, and that'll need to be converted also, I guess, to the Alabama server. Do we want to do that, or start thinking about that, or because, you know, the private key needs to be installed and through SFTP, and accounts will have to be added, and basically everything you did for Grape 1 legacy, if we want to save that data. This is the 1 second data.
The CSV files.
Yeah, the CSV files.
And there's
Similar
also
to Grape
plots,
1.
I think. There's plots. Oh, there's just
There's plots, but we're not uploading the plots currently to WWV.
But you could rederive the plots from the CSV files.
Right.
Pretty easy.
Right.
right. Yeah, I'm using software developed by Nathaniel, and the plots look quite a bit different.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. This is one of those things that's it's optional. I mean, it's nice to have the short-term feedback from the Grape 2s on a central system so you can look at it. If we don't do it, the data is also included in what we're importing when we get the hard drives back at the end of each year.
Right.
But if you want to look at things short-term, it would make sense for us to do the work necessary to convert those Grape 2s to upload to the UA system.
Exactly. So a new instrument would have to be added to the UA system, or a new form to look at the same data, right?
Right.
Yes. And
But
it's not hard to do that, but you know, it involves somebody going through and touching these systems. And I don't know the internal guts of them well enough to provide guidance.
well, I can touch all the Grape 2 systems remotely. So just depends on the decision on whether this Grape 2 1 second data, the CSV files, is important for research, and whether you want to get it more often than once a year, because it does have to come off the WWV server, I suppose, ultimately.
Or I've not been backing that up, and so I'm not sure who's backing up the Grape 2. You know, we've got the year data up through what, July? Is that right? The hard drive data up through July. When do we do that switch?
Uh,
The Grape 2 hard drives, when do we switch those out?
I think May or so.
May. So we've got all the data till then, and then I'm not backing up this data. Like Bill's been downloading it. So ultimately you'll have the hard drive data a year from now, but if you want this data now or in between then, we need to address this.
It sounds like a decision for Nathaniel and others as to
I'm
who's
back.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nathaniel, yeah. Did you hear what we were talking about? Or-
Yes, you're talking about getting the Grape 2 data up to the Alabama website.
Yeah,
The daily data.
Right, the daily data. I agree. If we can, you know, if we already have the mechanism to send it up to WWVARC. Bill, how hard is it to adopt what you're doing with the Grape 1s to work with these Grape 2s?
It's not hard.
I think we should do that.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
And
it provides a quick look. You don't have to wait till the end of the year to get your.
Yeah, I think that's very useful.
True.
And I think you already have the procedure in place for doing the Grape 1 uploads, the Grape 1 legacy uploads. So I think this kind of just follows along with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through and make sure that that instruments have been created on all those stations that are Grape 2s. And then I'll get with Bill Blackwell and we can define a plan for getting those updated so they'll upload to the UA system.
okay.
Keep me in the loop too.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or discussion? Okay. Let us see who else is on. Rob, did you have any updates? Okay.
Is Rob there?
Any-
I think I've already had the discussion with
I actually have-
Nathaniel.
I have
Yeah.
another point to raise that I'd like to discuss a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, great. So, one of the things that I'd like to do is I'd like to see better unification of the personal space weather station documentation, specifically the documentation for how to get everything up and running. To this point, we have each individual project has kind of maintained its own documentation. So the ground magnetometer has documentation on GitHub that Dave Witten put together. Whisper Demon has its own documentation. There's actually a few different flavors of that. The VLF needs documentation. And none of this documentation is centralized under a HamSCI controlled place, with the exception of that documentation that's on the HamSCI.org. So the documentation on HamSCI.org has, I think the ground magnetometer documentation is reasonably good, but and so has some of the well, how should I say this? There are some problems with hosting the documentation, this technical documentation, on the HamSCI.org website. And namely, that problem is that only a few people have the credentials to actually go into the HamSCI.org website, make changes. And if we start giving too many people credentials to that website, it's just going to get extremely unruly. So I think a better thing to do is to create a read the docs style documentation on the HamSCI GitHub that we can then assign all of the people who need to have access to that. They could get the proper credentials, and then people who don't have access could submit pull requests. So I have started to, just yesterday, I'm going to replace this share here. I started to just yesterday creating a PSWS documentation website repository. I should note that there was already a PSWS documentation repository that had Grape 1 documentation in it. What I did with that was, to start clean, I just renamed the old one PSWS documentation _ Grape 1. So all of that information is still there. It's just under a Grape 1 repo. So with this new one, this is going to be, everything is going to be stored. Right now it's stored as RST files, but I think we're going to change it to Markdown files. And the reason we use Markdown files is because GitHub has built into it a Markdown parser. So everything that if you look at the file on GitHub, if you look at the documentation file on GitHub, it will be formatted correctly just by looking at it on GitHub. That's one thing. The second thing is that it is connected to a readthedocs.io. So if you go to psws-documentation.readthedocs.io, you will get a nicely formatted version of the documentation. And if you use readthedocs.io, it has the ability to do different, have different versions of the documentation. It has built-in searching capabilities. It's using a documentation engine called Sphinx, which easily lets you not only generate HTML versions of this, but you can also easily generate PDF versions of it from here. If we do have code in this repository, you can set this up to easily just take the doc strings from the code and put it into this repository. So what I would like to see happen is that we come up with a PSWS installation guide that covers all the different instruments that's all centralized under this one repository and all in Markdown language, so that it's easy for people to clone, edit, and make changes to. And it's not just under a single person's repo. So what do you think?
What a concept.
I think that's a great idea. It could also be a little bit more centrally located than the website sometimes, because we always have updates problems when we do the website. We have to like update some of the structure and be like, oh no.
Yeah, so this will be
Naturally, I
yeah,
have
so
a ton of documentation. It's all under the UA standard, which is Azure DevOps.
mm,
And I'm not interested in redoing it in Markdown language. My God.
that makes sense. So perhaps, so I mean, for certain cases, like for cases like that, I think we just link to what you already have, since I mean your central database is kind of its own thing and its own project. But in terms of having and the central database is also maintained more by the core UA team and less so by the distributed team. But I think what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a place that I can point people to that, want to set up their own personal space weather station. How do they get going? What parts do they buy? So I want like all the bombs to go on here, all of those procedures. How do you run Whisper Daemon, set it up for HamSCI purposes? And this is not intended to replace, say, the Whisper Daemon documentation. It's not intended to replace the individual documentation for like even the magnetometer code. This is designed to be because there are going to be some Whisper Daemon setups that are not going to be HamSCI setups, or there are going to be certain Whisper Daemon specific commands that are an advanced power user or a developer is going to want to go in and know about Whisper Daemon, but we don't necessarily want that information on this documentation website. I want this documentation website to be for someone who's like, I want to go set up and run a HamSCI personal space weather station. How do I do it? That's what this is for. So there's at least one person that I know has really been trying to do this sort of thing already. And this is Jeremy McLynch. He's a student at NJIT working for Hyomin. And he's developed a install Whisper Daemon guide that includes topics like even what you change on the BIOS for the specific types of computers we're using. He covers installing the operating system. He covers, actually getting Whisper Daemon connected up to UA, etc. There are some additional things that are missing from here. Like we've since learned that you have to, run you need to make sure that you update the configuration files for the RX888 to use the higher sample rate. You need to run the FFT optimization command. We need to get all of that in there. This is currently hosted on Jeremy's personal domain, and it has some things that are specific to NJIT that I think don't apply to the general project. But this is one example where, we might have Jeremy take the first crack at porting this over to the general HamSCI one. But I guess my question for Rob is, Rob, do you or Michael have anything similar or more up to date than what Jeremy has been doing on your Whisper Demon GitHub or on something else. What's your thought on this process?
I think it's Michael has entirely been in charge of our documentation. So the question is really for him, not for,
Okay.
I can't answer it. It's all I can do to keep them running. And I try to email to him so he knows what these things are. But he has that get the docs, site for Whisper Demon installation and maintenance, and that would be where we try to keep it current. But
Okay, so what I should really do is I should have a conversation with Michael Howen about this to figure out how to coordinate.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, contact him.
I will do that. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm thinking of with this. I will contact Michael Howen, and I think Michael Howen and Jeremy McLynch then are the two people I know that have done sort of work on this already that I need to coordinate with. So I will work on doing that. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, or discussion? All right. I think that's it for today then.
Thanks. Rachel, can I give you a call right after this about the K3LR trip?
Sure.
Thanks.
On Zoom or on the phone?
I'll give you a call on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Or we can stand here. Here, let me just stop the recording.